I wonder how we should approach golf. We have about a year's worth of golf coming up starting this
Oh,
weekend.
we'll be doing some golf. I know.
But our shows on Thursday are going to be too late.
Yeah, well, we'll have to.
Maybe
we'll
we
do
can move the show
during
to
the week.
Wednesday.
Very
Is
possible.
Wednesday, with NBA being a big night and golf? Something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, this week
I'd
with
rather,
golf,
right?
there's only 30-something guys, but yeah, for Sony.
But that's what I mean, though. It's a full year's, like, we're about to embark on what? At least 11 months straight of golf.
Yeah, golf never ends. It barely ends even in December. There's like a month, if that.
There we go. So that month's over.
Yeah, here we go. It's right. College football ends, golf begins.
Ready? All right, happy New Year still. You can still say that now, 2 days into the 2022 season here across the board. We appreciate all you hanging with us on the Odd Shopper betting show here on the official Odd Shopper channel, where you can go. And again, Odd Shopper is your key, your tool across the board. We'll constantly be referencing that. Mike Awesemo is producing. I'm here. Most importantly, Ben Rasa is here with you as well. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and make sure you leave in the chat a nice, juicy lock it up. We have Monday Night Football. We can look back and recap what was over week 17, but it's not over until these two teams, and what a fitting way here to end the week at least. These two teams in Cleveland and Pittsburgh go at it, man. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this game specifically and also the weekend that was, man.
Yeah, week 17, obviously we're almost there. We get a week 18, which has never happened. But, this game tonight, we've seen it. I mean, the spread has absolutely cratered. And that is because the Cleveland Browns have been eliminated. And when you have big expectations and you get eliminated like that, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that the Browns, even in a rivalry game, are going to come in possibly just flat tonight. And then on the other side, you've got the Big Ben send-off game, at Heinz. That's another narrative that we're going to explore. But the thing that stood out to me the most here is how much money Pittsburgh has taken in maybe the last 24 hours now that the dust has settled.
Yeah, and I think there's somewhat of balance to this conversation where, wow, the public is on now Pittsburgh exponentially, and they don't build those big buildings to the sky because the public always wins, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a long season with plenty of ups and downs and definitely a lot of ways in which we as the public can get tripped up on. The narrative that you laid out, I think, holds true way more often without having the list of history in front of me as far as teams going into the final week of the season that are dead to rights. But in Cleveland's case, evaporated from the playoff scene. I think you can push this. I totally agree with you. I'm not worried about how much the public is on Pittsburgh. That doesn't matter to me in this particular game. What does, two big things, and you just echoing what you said. Cleveland has been eliminated. That team's not really that good anyway, and they've been eliminated. And then on the other hand, you've got the final game. There's no next year. There's no Kareem send-off or Derek Jeter send-off, depending on how old you are here, for Ben Roethlisberger. This is it. So I think they're going to pull out all the stops as bad as they are. I'd look at maybe a little bit more of an aggressive spread here. Maybe you can get the Steelers -10 for, north of 250, something along those lines. I want to take advantage of what you said and also apply to it with a little bit more of an aggressive play.
I don't mind trying to do something like that. The bigger problem I have is just I don't know how many points are going to be in this game. You're looking at a total that's hovering around 43. And when you open yourself up to numbers north of 10, it could get a little dicey. You could even do something, though, if you wanted to be very aggressive, like look to a team total with Cleveland, that's really low, something like that, and hope that, they can't even manufacture, more than a couple of touchdowns. I think there's a lot of ways to go with this, but it's pretty clear that, to me, I don't know how, first of all, if you're betting the Browns, I would wait because the line just keeps moving, and I'm sure it'll see resistance at 3. But at this point, I don't know how you back a team that's just You mentioned
Right.
it, and I'd be the first to admit it. They weren't that good to begin with, clearly. And now the life has been sucked out of them after just what is a ridiculous season. I mean, what the ups and downs with COVID for them, it's got to be Steelers or pass tonight.
I agree. I agree. Now we're going to go in and hit some player props here in just a second. And again, a reminder what we have going on with BetMGM. Make sure you click that link below. You'll sign up. We'll give you 3 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You'll get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. And you can go back and continue to use Odd Shopper as your tool, your companion. It's free there as far as everything you need is in placing a bet. Well, beyond, I guess, trying to push it a little bit more of an aggressive way from the spread. You mentioned the total. You don't really think it's going to be that high scoring of a game. It is 43.5. You know, where I am in PA right now, Ben, it's at 43.5. So to be fair, we've seen plenty of games over the last 2-3 weeks close at 39, 38, 39.5. This is north of 41, which is surprising, but it also, I think, allows me a little bit more wiggle room to get a little bit higher of a spread, a little bit wider of a spread. Meaning if this game was at 39, 38.5, I think a little bit more reasonable to the expectations of how bad these teams have been on offense, then it's harder to get to 7.5, 8.5, 10, especially double digits. But are you not a little surprised that we're sitting at 43.5? And I wonder if there maybe is a way, if that number is off, to take advantage of it. And instead of looking at it from an alternate spread bed, maybe we should be looking at this as an alternate total and going under something like 36, 36.5 to try and gain some value.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all about balancing the numbers they're going to give you. Most of the time, you're getting raked over the coals with those things. There's just no number that's good enough. But at the same time, I think, to me, there's a very real chance that the Steelers just crush them and they make up a large percentage of the total points in this game. Like the first game was 15-10 in this quote unquote rivalry. Cleveland blew it at home. The Steelers had no kicker in that game. He got hurt and they still couldn't get it done. I do think that the Steelers will be a little more apt to be aggressive tonight and air it out. The Browns like to run the ball. I don't really see that changing. So for me, you could look there. And then obviously, as we venture into the same game parlays and things of that nature, I think it's pretty clear that you can include Big Ben overs into some of these things, because maybe he does have I was talking with Matt Gajeski on this very channel this morning, and he was saying maybe there's a Kobe Bryant situation and Big Ben drops back 45, 50 times tonight. I don't think it's insane to think that he'll be very aggressive tonight.
Problem is that their offensive line may not allow him to physically drop back 45 times as much as his brain would want to. It's hard when you're horizontal, but I'm with you. I think it's a narrative, it's a game flow, it's anything in between that should not be ignored by any means. And look, if you were looking at going alternate spread, let's say, and you're not going to get that big of a break, right? Under 34.5, under 34, you're looking at plus 240, 250 at most spots, which is a risk. You've dropped this thing nearly 9 full points from what, in some cases, depending on where the books are, 10 full points, and you've only moved it basically 200. Now, the difference, Ben, is that I can run a mini same game parlay of under 43.5 and Pittsburgh and now get a return at plus 215, which I think makes a whole lot more sense as opposed to trying to cheat the total 10 full points for only a difference of the same game parlay of about 40 points the difference.
This is the exact process that I think is really important, and something that honestly why I really recommend going to oddshopper.com, which is totally free right now, and doing this, because you quickly realize that bets that seem on the surface to be very similar have drastically different payouts sometimes. And some of them are just, you quickly realize, all right, I'm giving up a ton of value here. I could make one tweak and I'm improving my payout immensely. And I think you just talked about that right there with, I would much rather parlay the Steelers and one of the total, the total, whether you lean over or under, regardless, rather than take an alternative line like that. That's a move. And then when you get into the player props, it's the same concept. If you're going over on Big Ben on some of his props, you could throw some of his receivers in there, and then slowly you're working up to, a 3 or 4 to 1 ticket.
Yeah, we should remind everybody here on Thursday, the show we did on Odd Shopper right here building, and I have the tweet I'll put out later with the date on it and the time. We build this stuff on the show. So that mini 2-leg same game parlay between the Titans and Dolphins, where it's all right, we'll take the under. You were all over the Titans. That thing was a nice little plus 200 return there.
Yeah, I'm going to take a minor victory lap for Tennessee. I didn't understand that spread. We talked about that. Turns out the Dolphins benefited from that 7-game win streak of playing the worst opponents we've ever seen. That was good. Obviously, bowl games, there were some good ones, some bad ones. That's the nature of what we're doing here. But focused on tonight, I do think that my card is getting started with Big Ben in particular. I like the over for him on completions. That's a number I can get behind at 22.5. You mentioned, will he be allowed to, in terms of the offensive line? The one thing they do really well, Big Ben is first in the entire NFL in terms of releasing the ball, drop back time. He gets the ball out really quickly, and that mitigates pass rush. He has no choice, but against Myles Garrett and co, that's really important. So he can take a lot of quick completions, and I think we see that again tonight, and that adds up very quickly when you're pushing over that number.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly here. I think it's going to play into a lot with Najee Harris and how you look at him. Now, Odd Shopper, when we look at just, again, this free tool, you can sort by ROI if you're looking at individual plays. If you're trying to build a parlay, especially a same game parlay, then you do have the ability to sort by win percentage as well. And then, of course, the third element that you don't get really on any of these other shopping type sites is our own projections. Again, this is free. So Odd Shopper is the free site you go to. You're going to get the X win, the X ROI, but you're also getting projections. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't just go to Awesemo, log in without an account, and get projections. So we're giving you stuff even behind our own paywall on Odd Shopper, which is the key. And it's all over on Harris. Now, it's a very sharp number, the difference between the best play you can get for rushing yards. Receptions, on the other hand, I was a little surprised that Odd Shopper is so high, going under 4.5, especially because of how juiced it is to go under. I think there's a pathway here, to your point about getting the ball out fast. It's not like Harris won't be involved. I could go over that 4.5 receptions for Harris and take advantage of the fact that there's some pretty decent plus money coming back at most places.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I absolutely can get on board with that. And that I always want to point that out. Absolutely. When I go to Odd Shopper, I look at what that X win and X ROI is, and I absolutely believe in the data behind it. But you're not locked into those. If you have a guy and you're just like, you know what, I'm actually on a different wavelength, well, you can do other things with that. You can leave it off your card. You can go the other way. And it's certainly one like this with Najee. I'm with you. I actually think he's live to have a very big game in terms of the reception. So I'm not going to put under 4.5 on my card tonight. I don't like that spot. I think that Big Ben is live to have a lot of dump off throws. So for that one, I would be more comfortable going from Najee's rushing yards, which I've been shorting all year, under 70.5. I feel okay about that. It's not my favorite prop on the board, but I would lean under on that one. I disagree with the receptions prop though.
Yeah, the receptions one I think is the one to work with, right? We've talked about really 3 different elements before this. If you were, and I've already put it into a 4-leg parlay, so don't worry, that same game parlay is going to come back here at some point. But we talked about the side, the total, really as far as the game. And then, Ben, you mentioned Roethlisberger, the over for completions. It just builds, continuing to build with this theme of the Steelers win, Ben gets the ball out a lot, but fast and quick, really, to guys. And Harris is the prime benefactor of that. Let's look at the other side, because I did see on the chat here, Chris Robson saying Freiermuth anytime touchdown.
He's back.
He is back. Target. You're going to get some now, and you know where I'm going here because I can't help myself. But if you are going to play something with Freiermuth, I think you might as well sprinkle something else besides just the anytime. I just was seeing where he is for anytime. You know, he's at plus 240, 250, right? That range, depending on where you're looking. What do you get for 2? Look, if we're talking, I mean, he's plus 1,600. So put a unit on Freiermuth anytime and put a quarter or a half a unit on him to score 2 touchdowns. You mentioned he's back. Deontay Johnson is really going to be the main guy on the outside. Najee Harris, they know in the goal line. He's a short yardage Freiermuth and goal line target. Why not take advantage of Freiermuth against this Cleveland team and bump it up for a sec? Again, I'm only saying a half unit at most, Ben.
I mean, you can absolutely structure like that. To me, what I would do is I would rather sprinkle on Freiermuth to score and the Steelers to win at plus 450. I like that number. You're still getting a nice little payout. Obviously, if he scores, it's helping your side and you're correlating there. So you're getting almost double what his anytime TD number is, and all you need is the Steelers to win on top of that.
Yeah. Now, granted, if I actually think both of those make sense to where you would put a unit on both, right? Where you would not the 2 TDs. If you wanted to move away from the 2 TDs, I would actually play both separately. I'd play the Freiermuth anytime TD, and I'd play the Freiermuth anytime TD plus Pittsburgh to win. I'm still building off of Freiermuth, but I'm less dependent on Freiermuth's second touchdown. With still, if both of those hit, you're looking at each one paying either 250 or close to 5.
Yeah, again, I mean, this is where there's we could do shows on shows of like bankroll management, unit allocation. If you're over extending on any of this stuff, it doesn't matter what you bet, you'll just, the risk of ruin is so high, you'll be swallowed up. But if you're building it out and you're using these tools and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to, instead of taking a full unit, I'm going to take, 2/3 of it and put it on Freiermuth anytime TD, and then 1/3 as more of an aggressive play. Well, I think that's absolutely very reasonable. And you can do that. It's funny though, when I look at the other side, you mentioned the other side of this game, I don't have a lot to say on. It's so hard. Talk to me, because you're someone that does definitely look into some of these things. How do you think a team that had, again, big expectations, this is not the Lions or the Jaguars that knew they were going to be bad. The Browns absolutely failed this year. What do they bring to the table tonight?
I don't know, man. And not to the sense of like, I don't know how to answer that, but I don't know how they're able to show much life. And I think so much of their success when they've had it has been motivated, has been down, has been bouncing back, if you will. But, their season's over. And I just don't think that Baker Mayfield instills this sense of confidence like, hey, guys, we tried, we gave it, let's go out on this high note. It kind of just reeks, this team kind of reeks of, let's just get to the golf course. Let's just get out of here as fast as possible. Now, here's the thing, though. Some of that's why I love Pittsburgh, and that's why I don't think that Cleveland is going to score many points, which I think we're all pretty much in agreement. But Odd Shopper does love receivers and Mayfield going over in the receiving/passing game. This is where I think there's some wiggle room, some gray area to maneuver here, because Mayfield could throw, and we haven't projected, Alex and Awesemo haven't projected for 234.4, which again, I'm just looking at that free site Odd Shopper now, but that's not a ton, right? I feel like Mayfield and his guys around him, the receivers around him, from Landry, Higgins, and DPJ, all of them are looked at like a team that's not going to be able to move the football at all, that's just going to be strangled. And I think more of the sense of Nick Chubb's going to run all over. But if we like Pittsburgh to be up as much as we do, I can see these guys catching some balls. I can see Baker Mayfield throwing over the numbers. But then at the end of the day, none of these numbers would scream that Baker Mayfield and the Browns would score a lot of points. So does that make sense? Like, I think we could go over their props without it just jeopardizing the game itself.
Yeah, I'm in line with that. And listen, I think the biggest point to take away, and I'm more guilty of this than probably anyone watching the show, it's if the Browns weren't eliminated, it wouldn't be like, oh, well, they're just going to roll Pittsburgh. Like, they lose to Pittsburgh all the time. They have not been an impressive team. So it's not to say that it's just motivation that could cause the Browns to be ineffective tonight. They might just not be that good. And Pittsburgh's defense has shown time and time again that they have the right parts to really disrupt this. So I don't mind going to like a Jarvis Landry over 4.5 receptions or over 45.5 receiving yards. That is pretty low, but to me, I feel more comfortable on the Pittsburgh side of this game. I think that Landry number is pretty good though. 45.5 is low. He should have some work. I think they'll be trailing. So there's things here, but not a lot to say.
No, there's not a lot to say, but if I may just briefly indulge here, because I think if you were to take a lot of the same game parlays and a lot of the one game parlays, single game, however the books describe it, and we'll have more stuff coming up, including how to take advantage of the parlays of same game parlays. It's just constantly building and building. But my point being is that these don't all have to be mix and match. There's no DFS rule that says you need one leg in the same game from the other side of it. I think what gets lost in building these, Ben, is that you can build multiple based off of the team. So a Browns only same game parlay here, where we're basically going over everything for Mayfield, and his receivers around him. Again, the over-unders on the same game parlays allow a slider here. And I'm just going to do this really quick based off of what Odd Shopper itself has. Again, like Jarvis Landry, for example, Odd Shopper has the 60-yard projection. But again, we're talking about a number of 45.5. So these now become workable. Same thing with Donovan Peoples-Jones, over 30.5, and Higgins at that super low number, right? So all of this now, if I just wanted to take those three, and I'm just trying to get Higgins really quick here because he's not on for some reason. Is Higgins out? Should we know something about Rashard Higgins?
Nothing that I see. Let me just take a quick.
That's fine.
No, I don't see it. Higgins should be good to go.
He's not on here for the book that I'm using to build the same game parlay. Don't worry about that. Point being is that I've taken 3 plays from Odd Shopper that they like when it comes to overs here. And this is what I've got. Okay. I'm now over 194.5 Mayfield passing yards. I'm over 44.5 Landry receiving yards. And I'm over 29.5 DPJ yards.
What are you getting?
Plus 235.
Yeah, between 2 and 2.5 there seems reasonable because that's really correlated. Like if you are asking the book to accept something where basically 50% of Baker's number is already incurred in your other 2 legs and you don't need anything else to happen. So obviously, on a traditional 3-leg parlay, you're getting 6-1. That's not going to be even close to what you would get here because it's extremely correlated and you're slashing the numbers on some of these guys. So
absolutely,
I don't mind that. I think that's totally reasonable. Again, it's kind of that showdown mentality where you can have certain parlays that build to a different narrative. It's not like we know for certain, unless you really love a side. Sometimes I build parlays that kind of plan for multiple different scenarios because I know that, okay, realistically, I'm not going to hit all of these, but if you hit a couple, it makes up for a lot of losses because you're getting 3, 4, 5-1 on some of them.
You see anything coming down with Mayfield, pick 6, fumble, Pittsburgh's plus 470 DST,
here we
scored
go.
Touchdown.
I
didn't even hit you with 2. I just hit you with 1.
I mean, I definitely think that anytime you want to look with Pittsburgh, you can do those type of things. They have an aggressive defense, come after the quarterback. Baker has made ample mistakes all year. It's not on my card. It probably won't be, but again, I think there's opportunity. We saw, the last time we talked on Thursday, one of the Thursdays or maybe it was a Monday, the Miami Saints game with Ian Book. And we saw the Dolphins absolutely, they were getting after it like there was no tomorrow. And sometimes these teams, it quickly becomes one of those type of games.
Yeah, real quick, before we look at the parlay builder here, and lock it up. We see a couple of people locking up some plays. Chris Robson earlier gave us Big Ben over 1.5 TD. It's still at plus money.
I like that.
Yeah, Ben, I love this. Like I see it right here at plus 110. Is this a 2-unit play here?
That's one that I really do like because the way I look at it, I think that's a pretty reasonable line regardless. And I do think there's a non-zero chance that in a game like this, not that they're going to alter everything, but they might be just unquantifiably more likely to throw the ball around the goal line with Big Ben, especially if the game is out of hand. If the game is out of hand, why not give them a send off? Why not give them opportunities? It's not like I'm not saying they're going to just not care about the outcome and do a gimmick type thing, but I do think that Big Ben maybe calls his own number a couple of times more. And on top of that, I think he probably was live to go over that number regardless of the situation.
Yeah. As I was saying this and handed it over to you, it's almost as if somebody was sitting at this book saying, as soon as you hear Ben Rasa say something, drop it. Because I had to get in. I was about to fire at 110. And then I look up to hear you. I look down and it's been adjusted to even money. So it's falling. It's falling rapidly by all means. Yes, it is.
Shout out to our chat. I do want to say, new year, it is very exciting to see some new faces in here. We got a lot of people. We got new people, and that's very, very exciting. Again, if you're new to the channel, hey, welcome. We're glad to have you. It's a tight-knit community here on the Odd Chopper channel. If you're enjoying this, if you're having some fun, or you say, you know what, I've never seen content like this, I want to learn more, hit that subscribe button. Eitan, myself, we have a lot of tutorials on here. We got VODs. If you say, I like this, but this is a 30, 40-minute show, I only have 5 minutes, go check out the VODs. Me and Matt Kajeski built a same game parlay for this game tonight. It's a 4-minute video if you're just looking for the action, but it's very fun here. Glad you guys have stopped in, and that is very, very exciting.
Yeah, I agree, my friend. And the best part about our chat is that it's very welcoming. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be sharp. You can ask questions across the board. And if Ben doesn't get to it right away, if I don't see it, if Mike Awesemo doesn't see it, then Dan or Kickstart or Shelton or somebody is going to help you out. And at the same time, we welcome everything. Our buddy Greg SJ1 hitting us up with some tennis action. I mean, there is nothing that we bet on that's off limits that we can't solicit from the chat. So we appreciate the community as it continues to grow. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, me betting tennis is a dangerous game. I do love a good tennis sweat. And yeah, again, Dan just brought up another good point. If you're looking on DK, there's some boosts available for that Big Ben over prop. So you're going to steal some money there. Obviously, you want to take advantage of the boosts, of the promos, and of the parlay builder, which is one of the Odd Shopper tools. And it does a lot of this work for you, Eitan. I know that's something that you always like to dabble in, those parlays that are pre-made in the site.
It's easy. It's easy work. But here's the beauty of it. As we constantly tell everybody, you're not locked in.
No.
So if you look at the 10X and you see expected wins of 76, 78, 79, like even, for example, now, I'm on PA and I'm looking all leagues 10X because I'm in 10X here. I'm looking at a book specifically because it'll give you the opportunity of all the books that you can per state. And maybe there's a play on here, and I've done this plenty of times. Vooch under 17.5 points. It's got an even money return. It's the 5th leg in this 10X parlay. But Ben, it's got a 62% X win. So what I've done a lot of times is, let me look at the prop party. Let me look at another play and see if I can find a different bet in a different game and swap it out. So not only is the work done for you for the ultimate, like, hey, I just want to click on something and have everything done for you. If you still like to do a little bit of dirty work, which is fine, all the way up to a lot of work. I saw Shelton with a tweet earlier mentioning how he's been using this. Then you can mix and match with it. You can go from all leagues. You don't have to just be in the NFL or NBA. You can bounce around. And it's just an awesome tool because at the very least, it's giving you some guidance. And if you really, at the most, it's basically telling you what to play.
No doubt. Again, you use it. That's the best recommendation I can say. Go to oddshopper.com and do whatever you want. Use it straight up. Start changing things. Play around with it. That's what it's there for. There's no rhyme or reason for what you have to do. We build this for you. We give you those best values, but you're also free to start mixing and matching. And that is something that can also be very lucrative. So looking at this game tonight, though, I'm just going to sum up my card and I'm going to pass it to you. I think the Steelers win. I like the number, particularly at 2.5. I do think it'll be lower scoring, and I like the over on the Big Ben props. I think you go over on his touchdowns, over on his completions. You want to throw in a receiver, I think that's totally reasonable, but that is how I'm structuring tonight. Steelers, Big Ben at home. They put the final, they kick the Browns while they're down. Tough season for Cleveland once again. Cincinnati has now taken over the North. Who would have thunk it? But yeah, it's hard for me to think the Browns come in really ready to play tonight.
All right, so as we've kind of grown accustomed to here on the Odd Shopper betting show, I've taken a couple of different plays and put them together to illustrate, much like you just said, how we see the game playing out. So it's not my lock it up. I'll get to that in a second. And I see a couple of people, including Kickstart, throwing us an individual one that we should hit before we both lock it up. But this is the same game parlay. This is the Odd Shopper betting show, same game parlay, pending Ben Ross's approval. Okay.
Okay. Fire away.
Under 43.5.
Like it.
Under 43.5, Pittsburgh Steelers money line.
Oh yeah, I'm on board. What's it paying out?
I'm adding as I'm going back for the people not watching, maybe listening.
Got it. So we got the under
43.5 Steelers money line, 20+ Roethlisberger completions.
Okay.
The fourth leg and final leg is Najee Harris, 3+ receptions.
So again, it gels well because we need Big Ben to have 20 completions. So we need Najee to have 1/7 of them. That's what we're asking. What is it paying out? You're getting north of 3 or 4?
What do you think it pays out? Just what does your gut tell you it pays out?
So we've got under 43.5 Steelers money line, Big Ben over 20, and Najee over 3.
3+, right?
I'll say like 525.
I did you a little better. I got you a deal. I got you +600.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice.
Not bad. 6-1.
Yeah.
For all
bad.
for everything that correlates.
Within 100 cents, that counts. Put it on the board for me. But
I'm not shocked that you got it close. I'm shocked that you didn't get it closer. All right.
Yeah,
this is not me or Mike or somebody on the chat. You're sharp. You should get that.
No, I like that. Again, that's an extension and a permutation of the parlay that I built this morning with this game. So I think you can look there. And again, some of it you may look and you're thinking like, well, if Big Ben goes crazy, the under could be in danger. Yes, that is true. But there's also a lot of ways with the way the Steelers are constructed. They get the ball out quickly. He could have a drive where he has, 6-8 completions and they don't even score because they could be short Najee type completions that are not 50-yard A-dots or whatnot. And that's what we're not looking for. We want little screen passes, dump offs, bubble screens. Kind of have a feeling we get that tonight at Heinz Field.
Last, real quick, before we lock it up and get out, I saw Kick throwing out. And by the way, it is Kickstart, right? Because in order to at him, I have to put KL.
I know.
So I assume, okay. I just assumed that he was doing that. Maybe there was another Kickstart earlier on the Awesemo channel here. And all right.
Unsolved
Here's what
mysteries.
I would say. Baker Mayfield was at 5.5. He's been bumped up to 7.5, depending on where you're looking now. It's not I mean, he can move, and I'm pretty surprised that number is still low. Even 7.5 seems a little low on the surface, Ben.
I leave that to you. I truly have no feel on that. The one thing I'll always say, and we all know this by now, in the NFL, if you get sacked, you don't lose. It's not like college football where you lose the yards. So even if Baker takes a ton of hits and a ton of sacks, all he needs is one timely scramble. If you get there, you're going to be in business. I just don't know truly if we can expect that tonight.
3 of the last 4 games he's gone over. Would expect that they're going, and those are rushes, right, as well as scrambles. I don't know. He had a 12-yard run against the Packers.
Well,
the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is atrocious. Look, I'm blaming Kickstart if this doesn't hit, but I'm going to go over 7.5. I'll see you in hell.
I mean, the Browns, in theory, should just run it down their throat. The Steelers' run defense, I know we didn't get into that, but the Steelers' run defense is giving up 4.8 yards per rushing attempt. That is last in the NFL. Awful. I just don't know, even with that tonight, if they are they really going to just give Nick Chubb the ball like 30 times? I'm not sure we see that anymore. I know there'll be a run-heavy attack. I just don't know if it's going to be to that extent.
Yeah, Bloomfield mentioning Rager under receiving yards. I'm surprised books are still taking those bets, to be honest with you. That's just handing money out in a small market. All right, my friend.
They balance it against me because I'm the only person left on this earth that thinks that Jalen Rager is going to be a superstar. in
You
another
keep betting
life.
the overs.
Yeah,
You
I'm
keep
balancing
putting
all
us
your
in business.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
let me start. You can end with your lock it up. Head into Monday night this week, week 18 on a good note. I'm going to go back and take a play out here that I think makes a lot of sense the more and more I looked at it. John Shelton asking about the first half under. And normally this is a Thursday night play, but it's really difficult to ignore A, the total itself being at 43.5, and the fact that we're all under that total. This is normally about I would think this should be about a 19.5 to 20 first half total. And because the total itself, the game total is so high, you're getting about a point and a half break here. And you're still at 21.5. You're still just over that hook with the 3 touchdowns. You'll probably see more field goals than touchdowns, but you don't have to worry about a lot of drives counting to points where 3, 6, 9 is going to hurt you because you still have to factor in the touchdowns. I really like this is my lock it up. I'm going to lock up under 21.5 first half total for this game.
Okay. Yeah. Again, it's just another way to get exposure, I think, to some of the things that we've talked about. So I have no problem there. I'm going to just ask for some quick likes. Let's see if we can push this like number, start the new year off good. If you're new to the show or you just watch the show and you forgot to hit that thumbs up, if you can do it, it takes 2 seconds. It really helps out keeping this show free and keeping Odd Shopper free if you enjoy the tools. We've talked a lot about the game. I think you guys know where I'm at. I'm going to give you one fun one. If you want to go to the hoops market, college basketball tonight, Iowa -8.5 at home against Maryland. Maryland is just a team that, although they have not been beaten down this year, they're just not that good. They're 8-4. They've got a lot of close losses. They also haven't played, and I don't know how this is possible because we're in the new year. They haven't played a true road game the entire season, and they head into Iowa City tonight. That is not a good situation for them. It's a healthy total. Iowa can really score. There's a lot of variance with the COVID issues right now, so take it for what it's worth. But all in all, I think that Iowa crushes them tonight. I would lay over 10 if I had to. You can find 8.5 out there. Lock it up. Iowa Hawkeyes roll tonight.
Wow, I thought you might slide in a Drexel play appealing to the city of Philadelphia.
Drexel is really good, but so is Towson.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know how good you definitely know how good Towson is. I know how good Drexel is. And if I can get Drexel in this game at +125, my eyebrows are up, but I don't know enough about Towson outside of where they play.
Yeah, I saw Towson play Ohio State somewhat recently. I've seen them play a couple times. They're just a quality team. I'm not well versed on either of them to the extent that I would bet that game, but I have seen enough Maryland basketball and Iowa I looked at that game tonight and I did bet it. So give me the Hawkeyes.
One more time, because it seemed to work. Maybe it was just Ben. On your way out, hit that thumbs up button, please. Yeah. We have tons of content. Educational, instructional, entertaining, tons of content across the board. We'll be back Thursday. Thanks for hanging with us. Thanks to Mike for producing. Thanks to Ben. Thanks to you all out there. Again, lock it up to subscribe, thumbs up. You know the drill. Have a great week.